Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Full Sail University.
Today on Variant, I'm going to review the first superhero blockbuster movie of the summer, Iron Man 3. Roll that junk. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than I love my wife. Okay, that's probably not true. No, it's not true, and she'd actually be really hurt if it was true, but it is a close second. I'm your host, Arris. So, the superhero blockbuster summer films have officially begun, and kicking it off was Marvel Studios' Iron Man 3. It's the first Marvel movie that takes place after the events of New York and everything else that happened in the Avengers film. So, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and telling you where I think it stands with Iron Man 1 and 2 and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this will be a spoiler-free review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, no worries. Iron Man 3 is the first movie in Marvel's Cinematic Universe Phase 2. Phase 2 consists of Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and finishing off the Phase 2 would be Avengers 2. Iron Man 3 is also likely going to be the last standalone Iron Man movie for a while, as now Marvel's going to be focusing on finishing off the rest of their trilogies like Thor, Captain America, and Avengers. Not to mention, they're starting a bunch of other films like Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, and even the rumored Black Panther movie. I mean, we will be seeing Iron Man in future Avengers movies, and it's probable we're going to see him making cameos in other Marvel films, but as far as his own standalone movie, it saddens my heart that it might be a while before we get to Iron Man 4, but at the same time, I'm excited to see some of my other favorite superheroes grace the silver screen for the first time. But that's enough backstory on Marvel Studios. It's time to give you my thoughts on Iron Man 3, so I'm going to give you said thoughts. I really enjoyed the movie, a lot actually, which I wasn't expecting not to. It's just every time a new director takes over a movie franchise that I love, I'm always like, well, let's hope he keeps the franchise just as good or makes it even better. Which in this case, I think the new director for the Iron Man franchise, Shane Black, who's directed Robert Downey Jr. before in 2005's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, did justice to Jon Favreau's previous two Iron Man films. In my opinion, I don't think Iron Man 3 was anything significantly better than the previous Jon Favreau Iron Man films, so I would just say Iron Man 3 was just an all-around perfect fit into the trilogy. I did think, however, there was some stuff even better this time around. Like, the comedy aspect was great. There was just so much more of it this time, which is awesome. And I'm sure everybody loves Iron Man as he's become known as the comedy relief man of the Avengers. And while I'm on the topic of comedy relief, my dream is for one day when they finally do make a Deadpool movie to have him cross paths with Iron Man. Because anyone who knows anything about Deadpool, they know that would probably be one of the funniest conversations / interactions ever. But that's besides the point. The visual effects for this movie were also awesome, and I really liked how we got to see a bunch of Tony's suits of armor this time around, which isn't a spoiler. They actually showed that in the trailers and even released images on their Facebook page. It was just fun for the fanboy me to be like, hey, that's a Silver Centurion armor from Iron Man issue 200, or even the references to the famed stealth armor. So just the little things like that were really cool to spot. Also, Robert Downey Jr. did a great job as usual, and Don Cheadle also was great as not War Machine, but Iron Patriot this time. I really loved his interaction with Tony Stark. Although it's still weird to me that they decided to make Rhodey Iron Patriot, because in the comics, Norman Osborn is Iron Patriot, so it's just odd seeing Rhodey in that armor, especially when I first saw the Iron Man 3 poster with him in that armor. They just completely did their own take on the Iron Patriot, but I will say, in the movie, it worked for what they were trying to do, even though I really wish they kept him as War Machine. What can I say? I'm a purist. As I said, Jon Favreau didn't return to direct this movie, but he did return to reprise his role as Happy Hogan. And all I have to say is he's hilarious in this film. I just want to befriend him and buy him a Red Bull because he's a nice man, and because I don't drink coffee, so buying him a coffee would be kind of hypocritical. Gwyneth Paltrow was good as Pepper Potts as usual, and as for the villains, you have Guy Pearce, who played Aldrich Killian, who in the comics is a scientist who helps develop the Extremis virus, which the Extremis Iron Man storyline is a very good storyline, by the way, so if you haven't read it, read it. But nonetheless, I enjoyed Guy Pearce's performance, even though they took some liberties with his character as far as the comic continuity is concerned. And then you have Ben Kingsley, who was a perfect pick playing Iron Man's arch nemesis, the Mandarin. Every time he was on screen, it was just utter happiness for me. He's just one of those villains, as a kid, I always wanted to see on the big screen, but never thought it would happen. And then years later, it happens and puts an automatic smile on my face, especially since they were hinting the Mandarin since the first Iron Man film. Now, you may be asking yourself, is there anything you didn't like about the movie? And yes, there's actually one thing that irritated the crap out of me. But I'm not going to tell you guys what it is because it's going to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it. But for those of you who have, you probably know what I'm talking about. There's just certain things I can't forgive. I can forgive Rhodey being Iron Patriot. That's not how it's supposed to be, but whatever. I'll let it fly. They're probably never going to touch on the Dark Avengers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anyway, which is where the Iron Patriot stems from. He's actually reformed supervillain Norman Osborn, who used to be the Green Goblin. But like I said, there are certain things I can't forgive, and this one particular thing was just a huge letdown. It's like someone gave me a Ferrari and then an hour later told me it was a Toyota. It was just plain irritating. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about and you want to know, tweet me and I'll tell you it was just horrible. Bringing my review to a close, the movie as a whole I really did like. It had tons of action. For the eye candy alone, it's worth the watch. It had a good story. It actually borrowed its plot from one of my favorite Iron Man story arcs that I actually recommended on last week's History of Iron Man episode. I can't tell you guys which one because that could ruin it for those of you who haven't seen it. But the Iron Man trilogy as a whole, I really like a lot. Marvel is doing a great job with all their properties. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give Iron Man 3 a 7 or 8, depending on my mood. If you're watching this show, chances are you are into creating your own art, but have you considered enhancing your skills and making a career in 3D animation? Full Sail's computer animation program was designed to prepare you for a career in that exciting field. By expanding your abilities as an artist and learning the latest tools, applications, and design theory used to create 3D content for different media, you'll not only be able to take your art in new directions, but also put your skills to work realizing and sometimes even improving the creative vision of others. On-campus students have access to Full Sail's motion capture studio. In this facility, you'll learn how to run a professional motion capture session as you direct action of performers wearing a sensor-monitored bodysuit and use the data to create even more lifelike movements in your digital characters. All Full Sail students receive a laptop preloaded with industry software at a deep institutional discount. Full Sail University computer animation program is available both online and on campus. To learn more about this and all Full Sail programs in the fields related to entertainment and media industry, including art and design, filmmaking, recording arts, entertainment business, and many more, visit fullsail.edu/variant. First up for Wednesday, May 8th, we have Uncanny Avengers Issue 8. Xavier is dead and now begins the age of the Apocalypse Twins. Next, we have Secret Avengers Issue 4. The Scientist Supreme and the new High Consul of AIM ignite global war. The Secret Avengers welcome their newest recruit, the Indestructible Hulk. Here we have The Walking Dead Issue 110. It's The Walking Dead and Michonne has an epic battle. Need I say anything else? Next, we have Justice League of America Issue 3. A new secret society is forming, but which of its members has the power to attack the Justice League from within? And finally, we have Batman Issue 20. A strange visitor comes to Gotham City when tragedy delivers the team-up you've been asking for ever since the start of the New 52. Before I bring today's episode to a close, it's time to announce the winners of last week's comic and variant sticker giveaway. And the winners are Carlos Ramos and Nathan Grieb. Congratulations, guys. I'll be contacting you very soon to get your comic and stickers out to you ASAP. But that is all for today, my fellow comic conrads. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Arris_Quinones. I'm actually going to start doing some giveaways and contests that I will only be announcing on my Twitter. So if you want to be a part of that, be sure to check out my Twitter page. Also, be sure to like our variant Facebook page. Keep up with all things comic related and the show. But that's it. Now I'll see you guys next week when I talk about all things comics. It's just every time a new director takes over a movie franchise that I love in Captabata. Man, as he's become known as the comedy relief man of the Avengers. And I'm